Let's do it. We are live. Pops Live. Greetings and salutations to all. Hail, 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 hail to those out there watching and listening. Hail to the chat. It is a great chance to talk to, man, I tell you what, he's like a rock star. He really, really is. He has subs. He doesn't even acknowledge that he's out there trying to get. People just love this guy. He's the Rico Suave of the internet, the Mexican Iron Man himself. How are you, my friend?
Great, brother. Wow, what a great intro.
I could do better if I had more time to come up with
Holy
some
moly.
stuff.
I'm like, wait, who's he talking about? Like, well, how come that guy didn't show up?
You're the Rico Suave. Don't
Uh-oh.
listen, move over, Tony Stark.
Uh-oh.
MIM is here. He's in there. I love it.
And we're gonna talk some controversy.
Yeah, we
some
kind of have to
politics,
get into
some
it.
media, and how it all intersects with entertainment.
Let's stir it up. Let's stir it up. Say hey to the chat out there. Apollome's Minion. I see you. Awesome. Thank you for hopping in. Joker's Voice giving you some love. Says, one of my favorite people, Mikey. Hail, Joker Voice. See you
Hey,
out
Joker.
there, man. Yeah. And the lovely Sherry. Hey, Sherry. How you doing? Let's hang out. All right. But yeah, sadly.
She gets a special green. Hers is...
Ooh, look at you go, Mikey. All right. So, yeah, I think it's important. It's funny how we scheduled this and talked about doing this before, and then suddenly today it all explodes again because the amount of gaslighting that you'll see in headlines, folks, the fact-checking lies are just out of control right now when it comes to Reedy Creek District, Disney, taxes, Florida law, DeSantis. Everything is a mess. It is absolutely a mess. Am I right, Mike? It's just absolutely crazy.
Do you remember a time when you could watch the news and thought you were actually getting facts presented so that you could draw your own conclusions?
Yeah, and I can tell you there was an evolution from when I started doing some of that writing that, back in like 2003 to 2008, it kind of just chugged along like that. You pretty much had opinion very separated out or very clearly indicated. And actually, they kind of required it on, like, when I would do like website writing. Once WordPress came along, you had to designate things as opinion or op-ed or editorial and things like that in order to be accepted into Google News algorithms and then things like that. But what evolved was they went through the first phase was they required all of the outgoing links. So if you used any other sources or you referred to anything, you had to put links. And then suddenly, I don't know the exact year. I want to say, let's see, it's around the time Obama was ending into, the new stuff. They took all that away. So now there's no footnotes really. Even if they say, oh, so-and-so reported this, they took it away. Like you couldn't go to the original source. And then it eventually got to the point where they just would start stealing. And I am not talking about like the bloggers get a bad rap. Examiner was a website that basically was destroyed for this. But I'm talking about the regular press. So, this evolution has been a bit in the works. And I don't know we can put the train back on the tracks, Mike. I really don't. I don't know that we can do it. They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think... when there's a lot of time, there's been a few things that happened when criteria were relaxed with the FCC, when criteria was relaxed in terms of journalism, when criteria was relaxed, my goodness, in a variety of different ways, banks even. I mean, I see this with banking. It's all about ratings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's all about ratings and advertising dollars. That's really what all this is about. I mean, it's all about chasing the ad dollar. And there was a time when the stewards of the news services regarded them as such. They were stewards of truth, stewards of facts, stewards of their stations or their periodicals or even their online, their online publications. But all that's gone now. Everybody wants to chase popularity. Everybody wants to chase views. Everybody wants to chase ratings. And why do they want to chase that? Because it enables them to chase dollars.
Yep, it's clicks and views started changing because I think back when I was talking about what it may have evolved is more of them paying more attention to an online presence. And once you started changing that too, and you started adding the clout factor, because newsrooms were a loss leader, right? So these big companies treated the news as like the loss, right? That suddenly become like, well, we can get to zero, we can make a profit. Then these personalities were thrilled because they could use it as resume packing and getting clout. And the people in the press love politicians and political parties and Hollywood parties and vice versa. It's all interconnected. And I think that's what's muddied the waters. And I don't think we can go back really. So this story is definitely riddled with that. And Joker definitely brings up the story you and I were made a reference to offline. And now we will have to talk about it. Watch the video from Valiant Renegade with the municipal bond lawyers setting the record straight. Great video. Yes, it is tremendous. Head over to Valiant Renegade and get that interview because we will make some references that come. I read so many things. I was fact checking a lot of the stuff that was being said in that interview as well. And let's set the first record straight. Reedy Creek District is a special district, basically like a charter or a chapter. This sort of like approach to carving an area out is very commonplace across the whole country, right? This is some sort of weird Florida thing or just a Disney thing. This happens pretty widespread, right?
Yeah, it does. In fact, the Reedy Creek district isn't the only district. There's a variety of them.
There's a whole bunch. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch, and there's a whole bunch in other states. And by the way, for the folks that are watching the stream, what is my interest? I think most people know me from my comic book or movie appreciation, but I got my start in the world of. I mean, I run my own accounting and tax firm, but I got my start in local government. I worked for the city of San Jose budget office. And within that office, all I did was municipal tax, redevelopment, real estate property tax, and dealing with incorporated and unincorporated areas. In fact, starting there, I then added on to things you may have heard like San Jose Sharks. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? I was also part of all the work that we did in terms of eminent domain and all that. So when this issue came up, it struck a lot of bells that are in my core wheelhouse. In fact, besides the type of tax that I do, municipal finance and budgeting is something that I have a lot of experience with, not in Florida, obviously, but in California. And one of the things I can tell you is that we have to go back to the source documents. So the way that what your approach is to take a look at the actual source documents is we have to start with the source documents and work our way back out, because what we cannot do is we cannot just listen to all these different media releases and try to find the truth, because they are coming at us with lies and obfuscating the truth. We can't, normally that's how things used to be, but we can't do that. So
they don't link to any of those documents. You have to dig, which makes it even more frustrating.
They don't even refer to them because they don't want us to dig, Pops.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. And for me, look, we're not lawyers. We're not giving legal whatever, but I'm more of a tapping into my researching news journalistic roots to just kind of fact check a lot of this. Because what struck me was this back and forth of headlines. And here in Florida, the headlines are just riddled. And you can Google, but I'm talking about like the major newspapers. And it's very important to understand that when you see headlines that are Orlando Sentinel, Tampa Bay Times, Miami Herald, they're the three of the biggest drivers in Florida's news. It's important because that's going to drive the massive senior population's informational source. They still treat the paper as 100% fact. Yeah. There's still a stranglehold in what they say. And these headlines, all these headlines are talking about how the taxpayers will pay more. This deal will cost us as taxpayers more money. Makes no sense. All of this is being misrepresented. And I got to be honest, our politicians are just as bad. And if you're a Republican fan, I'm sorry, I might insult you too, because we have a committee member who tweeted. We have other Republicans who keep saying things about this is about Disney, and they make reference to the parental rights bill, which was nicknamed the Don't Say Gay bill falsely. And this is not a one-to-one thing. Reedy Creek District is separate from Disney by design. That's to keep it. It's like having an LLC. A very generic way of looking at this is imagine carving out its own little company, its own little entity. Does Disney and all of its little pieces own and run all? Yes, it does. And based on all these little districts, you'll see the villages trending all the time on Twitter right now because everyone's all ticked off because most of the people in the villages, it's kind of a high-end looking kind of times stays pretty red. It tends to vote more Republican. Mm-hmm. And these districts, and you verify this, Mexican Army, as you go around, you see these districts, they're very isolated from the state. They want to have their own control. So they'll have their own police, own fire department. They'll take care of the roads. So if you're driving on I-4 Disney and you get off that road, it is beautiful. It's paved, it's manicured, it's all very pretty and all that. The villages are the same way. around the Daytona Speedway here in Florida, also another district. And I'm sure this is the way it is in most places because the state tends to stink at doing things. So they like to have control. So they need enough reasons to lobby the politicians to give them control. Then they create these districts. And then that brings us to how we ended up with the one that basically is called into question. But isn't that pretty much the case? I mean, not your expertise out of California, right?
That is the one caveat I would say is that in Florida, these special districts do have to contract out things like policing services, arresting, and criminal stuff. So that has to be contracted out with like sheriff's departments and whatnot. They don't actually have the ability to jail and that type of stuff.
Right. Okay.
But well, I mean, they do it on certain things. It's limited, but
it's like security, low level stuff. It's like holding them till the Orange County police get there if you're arrested at Magic Kingdom or something like that. Yeah.
If there's a felony involved or anything.
So this deal with Disney was done back in 1967. So the bill talks about being 1968 and older, hence the date, hence the targeting that this group feels, right? It's because they're isolating that out. And I have to understand that the deal they got is illegal now. This is where the issue comes in. This is where DeSantis is trying to play the leverage card, because since then there's been a lot of legislature of what we allow, what we don't allow here in Florida. Because when this deal was done, there's nothing in Florida. Like, if you rewind the clock to when they were coming here scouting Florida under quote what I think it was called Project X, wasn't it? Project X was the something like that.
And the funny thing is that it's really, this law is trying, even if they reapplied for another district, which they could get. I mean, that's still, I mean, we can get into the politics in a minute.
Yeah.
But all of the special privileges that they've had, no one has ever had since, and no one ever could have, and no one could have again.
You can't have it
because of the legislation that you decided.
Yeah, so I went through, and there's been, so since then, because let me go to the Villages, because the Villages is like in 1992. So the stuff that Disney got is so insanely lax, because remember, there's nothing here. Back then, there's cows, orange groves, and swampland. So they thought Disney was completely crazy. They bought all this under the secret plan of building this giant theme park. They literally could build something crazy like a nuclear reactor. They literally could go, we're going to build a power plant. I mean, it's literally that lax. In Florida, our environmental rules and regulations, even though it's a red state, or it's more like a purple state, I guess, because the governor's seat tends to swing a lot. I know I have bringing politics into this, but you have to understand how everything is overlapping. This situation is like the convergence of everything. It's the culture war, the Disney name, the brand, and all of that. Because the more this messes up Disney, the more it's going to affect every other aspect of their business model. This is so lax because here the environmental stuff is taken very seriously. I don't care if they're Republican or not. We take it all very, very seriously because of the Everglades and water, citrus, and all these kinds of things. So when you start to go through this, I started to realize, so this was the fact check. The fact check, this is what they did. There's fact check falses everywhere because they kind of like split the hairs. And you see this all the time, I'm sure. But they will say things that will say, Disney avoided paying, and then they will talk about Magic Kingdom or theme park taxes, or they will say theme park tax exempt. Disney and Reedy Creek are kind of like two separate entities. Just because Disney owns and Disney's funding or whatever, that's not how the tax part works. But they are sheltered, as I understand it. You correct me because you dealt with this in California, especially, because I'm sure that this stuff's way rampant in California as well. They're not paying taxes for like impact fees.
No.
The permitting process.
No.
They don't have to pay to have one of the county people come out and do inspections for some of this stuff. They're not having to hold hearings for this stuff.
No.
They're able to keep
There's no planning commission. There's no zoning process.
Zero.
No, none of that stuff.
And because of the way Reedy Creek works and the way it's sort of, I'll correct my language, not tax sheltered, but it's isolated. They're not having to pay taxes on that stuff for the contribution that should be paid to take care of I-4, which is their main inroad to get to that park.
Yeah.
This is the citizens of Florida need to wake up and realize, you understand, this is their way of getting a free pass of not chipping in.
Exactly. Yes. So here's the funny thing is that when you read these news reports, they're like, well, and I had someone contact me via, I was on Midnight's Edge and someone asked a question, or maybe it was Midnight's Edge After Dark. And I said, you know what, just, send me a message. And I ended up getting tons of messages asking me to give them comment. And they all had the same question because they all have relatives in Florida.
Hmm.
And I don't know if many people know this, but I lived in Florida for like 11 years. I moved back to California in 2000 and well, let's say I started in California, started my career, then went to New York, New Jersey, then Florida, and I was in Florida for 11 years, 13 years, something like that. Moved back in 2005, was it? I started the process in 2003, but then finally moved in 2005. Um, and one of the things that's shocking to me is that it's not about, oh, gee, now if we take this away from Disney, there's going to be this horrible impact on the regional taxpayers. No, there's already been an impact. You guys have already been subsidizing this company. You have been.
Yep.
I
For
mean,
50 years.
I mean,
Over 50
you've
freaking years.
you've already been subsidizing this company. And here's another one that I haven't heard anyone talk about, but I'll mention it with you here live on air. Is that, let me see if I can find the article. Hold on, I'm talking to you. But 2 years ago, it was just 2 years ago in January, February, that one of the Republican legislators was actually right after the release, right after the launch of Disney Plus. One of the Republican legislators was actually sponsoring a bill that would give Disney preferential treatment from a tax standpoint in terms of taxes for streaming service.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Yep.
so how far things have changed that just 2 years ago,
It's the other
Florida
direction. Yep.
Republicans in particular were ready to champion the cause for Disney to get special tax benefits related to its streaming services, which is silly because Disney's actually a California-based company with its corporate headquarters in California. I mean, that tells you.
But they're trying to move that too.
Right, but
they've already got that isolated. They already got their area picked out and everything.
Right. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm just saying, for the fact of the matter that someone that a legislator in Florida was sponsoring this for this company for their streaming service, to me was hilarious at the time, and it tells you how in alignment the politics was with the politics with the purpose of Disney. And by the way, I've had a chance to talk. This is breaking. Well, I don't know if it's not really breaking because it's kind of confidential, but I have it on incredibly good source from a guy who's in the lobbyist industry that Disney got blindsided by this whole thing. There's no 4D chess here between Chapek and
that's all bull too. Yeah, I made a phone call as well, and I've pretty much said, yeah, this is.
I mean, this guy is
they're reeling, is what I heard. He said reeling.
Yeah. So basically what happened is that as recently as 2-3 weeks ago, this lobbyist was basically telling this other lobbyist that what a tough time they're going to have in the session, and this Disney lobbyist I mean, they just got blindsided. They got blindsided because this guy was just so confident and arrogant, and so this is incredibly like this is like as if my mom had told me. That's how good this information is. So there is no 4D chess going on between now. I'll tell you this much: at this point in time, if people from DeSantis' camp and people from Disney camp, if they're not talking right now, if they weren't talking before, they sure as hell better be talking now.
Well, I've heard the committees are already talking to Disney people, and I don't know what that means. I don't know how inclusive that is or how wide that is. I don't know if which. I can't tell you for 100% certain. I have a friend I haven't got a hold of who can tell me which politicians are linked to Disney pockets, but that's a different conversation. But it is also important to note too in Florida, and for those of you who understand too, because again, think corporate, think big, and how this affects you, right? Because all these companies are making entertainment that you love. They like movies. They're in this. They're in streaming, whatever. This means all this time, Universal, SeaWorld, all these other entertainment outlets here in Florida, they're having to chip in. They're having to do zoning. They're having to do this. Universal had its Volcano Bay project basically leaked in the press because they had to have a special hearing on how they can build something so high and what they had to do to get permits to put it literally in the middle of streets. I mean, where the Universal one is, there's streets everywhere right there. So Disney gets a free pass on all of that. A lot of what can come out of a new deal. Let's just presume that can happen at some point. We can talk more about that in a minute. We could just create an even playing field. So that, even if DeSantis goes, this isn't about Disney, it's just about an even playing field. How about they all just play by the same set of rules? Because right now they don't. And that's definitely what's come to light. That's for sure. Let's hit some chat just for a second here. Joker had chimed in and says, yeah, a couple signs of change are coming. Zasloff over at, that's the AT&T Discovery shakeup over there with Warner. Now shaking up CNN. Elon taking over Twitter. That's funny, and it won't happen overnight, but is a couple of steps in the right. Yeah, we got to celebrate some white pills, man. Agent Atwood's here. Hey there, how you doing? Hey to everybody. Decepticons Cave of Villains. Oh, I love it. Hail all, hail all. And make sure I get down. Brandon, Brandon, the anime guy's here. Made a comment about taking care of the environment. We're talking about all that kind of stuff. And then let's see. I think that's it. I think everybody's just saying hey to each other, which is absolutely awesome. So, let's see. Yeah. So I started to try to look at some of the headlines and just like, how do I put out some of the gaslighting? That was my first approach to this, Mike. I was like, well, how can I communicate some of that? And the amount of papers that you have to read to sort all this out and the way that they're trying to conflate. I think this is what the media is really doing well, and the politicians are playing in their hands. They're conflating the separation of Reedy Creek District with Disney. They're putting too much of it together. Yes, let's just be honest. We do believe it's politically motivated. Fine, but reality is that's not the conversations are apples and oranges. They're not. They don't go together. If Disney tries to press this issue, like the free speech argument, right? Oh, you're violating our free speech. Why? It's not you. It's them. That should be the exact argument to have that dismissed in court. Be like, no, you wanted to separate. You kept it separate, right? You're not allowed to mix them together, right?
Yeah.
It's all transparent. And this whole this thing about firefighters unions and bond money and all. Listen, they're on the hook. This is a political win. This is a financial win for Florida taxpayers, people that want Disney to come down a notch, which is, I think, what most people want from the entertainment side of things. Listen, people were upset and insulted. They feel betrayed by the Disney brand. I think this is the biggest part of it all, right? We feel like you got a bunch of people on a video explaining what they were putting their agenda in everything. And they feel like, listen, Disney, you're getting away with murder down there. And we really need you to be taken down a little bit and play on a more even playing field. Everybody.
And sometimes when you get away with that type of thing, what happens? Well, you end up being a little cocky and arrogant. Mm-hmm. And there were a variety of missteps that happened. One huge misstep was obviously the leak of the videos that showed what Disney was really doing. But there were a couple other huge missteps when they made a public statement that they were going to. I didn't see what that comment was. Do I need to read that?
I'll come back to it. It was basically, it was what we were saying before about the board meeting, a special emergency meeting. I think that was what I saw a little bit of, but I don't, no one's calling it that, Joker. No one called it that. There's they use terms like committee and emergency board meeting, stuff like that's all intertwined. So it's hard to know what goes with what, to be honest.
Yeah, and most of those are in executive sessions, so we'll never know what happened.
We're not gonna know what happened. Where we say.
Yeah, so there were two huge missteps from where I stand, and again, having worked in politics at the local level, one was them announcing that they were going to overturn this legislation, mm-hmm. And they were actively going to campaign against it. Well, that right there is that's starting a fire.
Yep.
The second mistake they made, which I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, was when they also subsequently stated that they were going to cut off all contributions on both sides of the aisle. Mm-hmm. Well, hello. I mean, mm-hmm. that's just shooting yourself in the foot, because now you basically said, okay, well, we're going to stop paying lobbyists to pay these guys being Disney. And so now when you just shut off you just shut off. It's like
your power of influence. You forfeited your power of influence.
You unplug the IV bag.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that angered the leftists that wanted this stuff to happen. They wanted it overturned. They wanted this stuff in place.
Absolutely.
So now you got both sides mad at you.
Right. And then I mean, let's say I'm a Democrat guy and I'm trying to support this Disney thing. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you guys aren't going to donate to my campaign. And then I got pressure on my buddy, mm-hmm. Bob Gonzalez over here, chair of the Republican committee, whatever. I'm like, well, hell, if the people want us to, okay, let's go. I cannot imagine. I mean, this thing was ready to go. That's the other thing too, is that I have it also a good source, and this was confirmed, I think, with the interview that Valiant Renegade did, but that this thing had been in motion and planned so that when the mistakes were made, triggers could get pulled very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. This was very, very smart. I don't know. I would love to have a documentary about a DeSantis behind the scenes of handling the last couple of years, but also when did all of this really start? When did we really start putting together this package to bring Disney down a little bit, waiting for the right time to roll this out? Because the details of what they can get away with is really, really shocking. It is nuts. They don't have basically it treats Reedy Creek as private property that the government has no ability to tax or do anything with. So imagine, you own your property and you don't have to pay property taxes, and you don't have to worry about getting a permit to, build an ad on your house. You don't have to have it inspected. You don't have to have zoning. You don't have to have surveys. You don't have to have, there's very few codes and stuff you have to deal with. You're responsible for fire and some of those kinds of things, but reality is, the county's not going to leave you high and dry. If you go to these parks, there's plenty of county people there wandering around, probably on, paid security details and things like that. But they are on the hook for like $2 billion of bond money. And the way they're trying to split this hair is, well, it's not paid off yet. You think that's going to hold up in court? You think they're going to be able to tell these people like, oh, you can't do anything? I mean, let's forget about my free speech argument from earlier, which I think that would be the reason to throw the case out. But let's just assume you think a judge is going to be, you haven't paid your debt off. That's the problem here. Like, that's what thinks you're immune from not taking care of this. Your obligations is.
No,
that's crazy.
No, it's absolutely asinine. I mean, look, I don't want to. Family law is very different than corporate law, and very different than statutes. But that would be analogous to say, well, I can't do. Well, I can't get a divorce because I still owe money on my Amex card and I still owe a mortgage on the house.
No, I can't pay child support because I have debt.
Right. No, you can still find a way.
You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. Brandon Anime basically says Disney's no longer special. Yeah, that's how I think a lot of people feel. We're like, oh, wait a minute. The family brand, the superhero icons, all this kind of stuff. And then he says they brought this on themselves. Absolutely. Because what you said a minute ago, Mike, was they didn't have to say, we're going to double down and lobby for this. They didn't have to say, we're going to stop donations. Why on earth? I mean, even if that was what they were going to do, to say it,
right?
It's just absolutely. Ironcaster asked if I've seen the latest from Cameron. I have not. I actually have to look at that then. Thank you for pointing that out. I have not. We were talking about the Valiant Renegade video, which is a tremendous, and there's like those actual lawyers, and the one guy's like a total district attorney. I don't say district attorney means something different in legal terms. He's an attorney that handles this type of property charters and things like that. In Florida, the term is a district, but that's the same kind of concept. And he broke all this stuff down in excruciating detail and basically explained that even if, first off, I couldn't believe how much misinformation there is, because none of this even takes effect until they imply it takes effect this June or July. It is June of 2023.
Right, exactly.
It is after the midterms. This is nothing. Well, first off, if you ever read press and you catch the fact that it is after an election like that, there's your gameplay. The poker cards are laid out for you. The scam is on. I don't care what it is. I don't care what party it is. It's by design. Tax cuts, budget spending, these kinds of things. If they are pushed off past an election, there are shenanigans involved. It was so cool. I was so frustrated because I thought it was 2022. I thought, well, crap, they're going behind closed doors over the next 30 to 60 days. I think I made a comment to Culture Casino along that same lines, like, well, they'll work out a deal because they have to. Now I realize they have a whole year. Oh, they'll easily figure all this nonsense out.
Right.
But the hysterics in the press is such a bold-faced lie to you. It's crazy.
Well, I'll tell you that. Hard for me to see how hardcore Democrat lefties are reacting to a lot of this stuff, because when I grew up, and I was for 3 decades a community activist Democrat, I no longer am. I didn't leave the party left me. Especially in California, the party left me. Party left me way behind. I mean, don't get me wrong, Democrats have never really cared about the needs or concerns of Hispanic people in general, but we managed to tolerate it for a long time. But one thing that absolutely fascinates me is the level of, if someone were to tell me that left-leaning Democrats would be up in arms that Disney isn't getting special favorable tax breaks, I would have been like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I never thought this would be a thing that the Democrats are out there supporting Disney and their tax protections. I feel like I'm in a.
Isn't that an alternative universe, Pops?
When Trump won, the multiverse broke. I stand on it to this day. I said there's like a 7-day window right before and they are lying to you if they thought and then knew he won. There were Hillary people on her jet celebrating. There are Trump people on the phone looking for jobs. I will stand on that. I have it from a source I trust with my kids. It broke the multiverse.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe.
I don't since then everything has if it was derailing, it went faster. And this is part of that. How on what kind of universe are we in where
Hey, trust
Disney
me, if anyone had told me I would be a Republican, if anyone told me that I would end up being a registered Republican living in South Carolina, you're right. The multiverse has broke, and I never thought I would. I never thought I would get to a point where I'd have to ask myself the question of, "Gee, do I support an asshole that has good policies for business, or do I support a moron that doesn't know what day of the week it is, but is in the party that I've loved for 30 years?"
Yep.
you know, the
Yeah.
multiverse has broken. But let's get back to this Florida stuff. And sorry, I cursed right there. I didn't mean to
Well,
do
that's
that.
okay. Let's Ironcaster talks about could the other parks have helped draft this with DeSantis? I'll just say maybe. Again, I think Mike's right
Ooh,
about the lobbyists and how that works. And again, Universal and SeaWorld executives, because those are the two biggest ones that are right down the street from Disney and all the Disney stuff. They had to have a emergency board meeting, pop some champagne, because someone else, if they even if they weren't, they're the benefactors of at least having an even playing field for once.
do you think the feeling is that they're laughing their little patooties off?
Well, Universal has been. They've been mocking them in social media for months because of some of the ridiculous restrictions that Disney was still having. Because you could go to Universal months ago and not have to wear masks and have some of the same social distancing restrictions. But people were loving to go to Universal to get a break from some of that. Part of going to the theme park was I want a break from some of the restrictions. I don't
I
want to
found
have to do them
I
in the
found it
heat.
so fascinating that my good friend Drunk 3PO Jay, to watch his videos when he goes to Disney versus Universal in the
Hmm.
last
Yes.
couple years or whatever it's been, when they were open.
Yeah.
He's such a different person. You can tell he's having a very, even when he's trying to be as positive as possible, you can tell he's having a very different experience. And it's just glaring.
And he took Chrissy Mayer there, right? They didn't go to Disney; they went there. And she was talking about
Yeah.
because she hates theme parks. Like she says it repeatedly, but she went to Universal to have an experience. She didn't go to Disney. Joker goes back to Iger. Bob Iger quote set a bomb inside Disney to set it off the right. You know what? There's a lot of truth to that because Bob is theme park, theme park, theme park. He had his legacy. He got the stuff done in Shanghai and all. He started the Disney stuff to start. He'll have this legacy that he can have in their circles. But reality is, he left the company massively in debt. I mean, they are way over leveraged, and then they
Right.
did Disney Plus. The amount of money they've leveraged on Disney Plus is beyond comprehension how in debt they are on Disney Plus. And Chapek is like a bean counter. That's what I had heard. And now he's in the middle of this mess. Now he's thrown into all this other
Oh yeah,
nonsense.
he
So
very much is a career accountant. And one of the things
yeah,
that I said on the variety of the live streams that I've been on, way back when, if someone asked me, "Well, Mike, what do you think? You're an accountant." I said, "Well, the only thing that could potentially hurt this guy is the fact that he's an accountant,
yeah,
and the accounting personality isn't my personality. I actually don't have a lot of friends in my industry." For a variety of reasons, but one of the big reasons has to do with personality and problem solving. Accountants, by their nature, we're trained to just make problems go away.
hmm
Something's out of whack. There's a
yes.
little
What do we
something on
do?
the ledger. Let's just reconcile it and just make an adjustment, make an adjustment, and be gone and move on. Well, that's not the way life works for a lot of people. There's emotions, feelings, and while Bob Chapek may have been brilliant in terms of playing the corporate political game to rise to the position that he rose to, he absolutely does lack any ability to be that sort of PR ambassador of Disney
Yes.
and handle all of the outside forces. It's one thing to win a battle inside an entity to where you can rise to the top. It's a very other thing to be able to win the battles, not within but without.
And he solely needs to take the blame for the Black Widow decision, right? Because the 45-day window or 60-day window, no, we're gonna put on Disney Plus. It's like, okay, that's your box office money you're losing, which ultimately led to the horrible press of the Scarlett Johansson mess and stuff like that. This is the accountant's approach, right? Let me make this go away. Oh, fine, we'll just put on Disney Plus. We'll recoup. Let's move on. That's literally how that played out. It did not
Exactly.
play out into an evaluative thing. Show me. I mean, maybe there were show me more numbers. At that point, I don't think anyone knew what the numbers would be. To be perfectly honest, I will throw them a little bit of credit in that regard. Anyway, but Chad's blowing up. DeSantis is the best governor in the country, bar none. Brandon the anime guy. That's his opinion. And then Mike hit on about backing off on politics.
I mean, I don't know they're Brandon the anime guy. I mean, you've got Gavin Newsom in California. That's
yeah. If you're a fan of that side, he's still rocking and rolling Justin Trudeau style, man.
He's and it's the Pops comedy break.
Can you tell them apart? They're two Ken dolls rotting around in the pink Barbie vat, baby.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I don't want to go down political humor. That's why I'm down that. That's my bread and butter, man. Disney had a year to get everything all figured out and negotiate. They also had to set up a new tax district. They now have to play the same role. That's what we hope for. That's what I'm saying. The press is implying that all this stuff is urgent. It's now. And what are you talking about? They have a year. It will all get worked out.
More than a year.
Yeah, it's more than a year. They have plenty of time. We're now living in the multiverse and behind it. Trust me, Brian, I think we are starting to agree with you even more and more. Everyone dropped their pretext on everything. Yes. Let's see. The purchase for Fox 71.3 should never have been purchased. Well, here's my reason I will agree with you, Joker. They haven't done anything with half this stuff.
That's why it never should have been purchased.
It's like, there was no plan. What are you doing?
Who paid? Well, this is what Iger did. He's all about going and buying things. What about the Muppets?
Well, they ruined the Muppets and made it crazy woke. Like, that was nuts.
My point is, they bought
Muppet
that.
fan.
We haven't seen any Muppet movies.
No.
We haven't seen any much Muppet merchandise. I was on a live stream on Snowdub's channel, I believe, and the topic came up, and I had just taken my family to Disneyland, four or five plus me, yeah, and he asked me, "Do you see any Muppet stuff like that?" I said, "Well, there was a cart outside the park, like in the main kind of hallway where you have California, whatever Adventure this way and Disneyland that way." I'm talking about Anaheim specifically.
Yeah.
And there was a T-shirt cart where there was some Muppet stuff, and he says, "Really, that's it?" I'm like, "That's it. I mean, I'm not gonna make stuff up." I mean,
there's one little section at the Hollywood Studios area that's pretty much some Muppet, the other stuff. But see, here's my thing with what Joker's pointing out. I think they did it. Thought they want to go all in on the streaming stuff, and they realized that even the littlest of changes and things that they were trying to do to Disney Plus were under such heavy scrutiny that they didn't have that PG-13 rated R stuff worked out on Disney Plus, and they didn't know what to do with all this library. I do still stand by. Once they figure out that they can do with it, they will ramp up this rated R type stuff. We won't just see the Marvel content from Netflix go in there. We'll see all of the Fox library because you'll see Aliens and Die Hards and stuff like that.
What this company doesn't understand is that it's killing itself by the moves it's making. From where I stand, one of the stats that was shared recently was that either close to or over 50% of all of the viewers of Disney Plus are single people without kids or couples, one way or the other, without kids. So there aren't really families watching. But one of the things that Disney's missing is that, well, if you're going to increasingly put questionable content on there, or you're going to engage in questionable business practices or support questionable legislation, you're going to have a couple things are going to come up. One is that people like me are going to cut off the access for their 9-year-olds, because that's what I did. I cut off his access for my 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen. And also, if you don't actually make family-oriented stuff that a normal kid wants to see, guess what? They're not going to watch it. So who are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with this dwindling market of demographics that is completely antithetical to your company's original purpose and mission in life.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when all that shook out, they bought Fox and they had controlling power over Hulu, we all thought, well, that's where all that stuff's going to go. And none of it's happened. You've talked about your son's name before. I'm not doxing your son by using the name, right?
No, I talk about him all the time.
Yeah. So you cut off Mexican Iron Man, right? You cut off Mexican Iron Boy.
Well, Mexican Iron Kid. His name is Max.
Yeah, Mexican. Mexican Iron Boy. I got it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's funny. I like that.
Mexican
Iron Kid.
It almost starts to drift into the comedic elements where you start talking about, the difference between being Mexican and Mexican. Because here in Florida, in Florida, you do not want to start calling people you don't want to assume anyone is from Mexico, Cuba, Puerto. Because if you're wrong, man, they're gonna let you know. You need to stay out of that business right now in Florida. I'm telling you. Yeah. So you don't want to make Mexican jokes. but you, like me, ditched all of your pass holder money. All the pass, cut that off right away, right? I did.
Yeah, yeah,
It's gone.
yeah. And
Thousands
I
of
and I
dollars,
and I
my
gotta
friend.
tell you, I was really excited. It's funny that you should bring this up because I had two myself, and my family has a total of seven or had.
That's what we had too. 7.
So now we're down. Now my sister still got one, and her and my niece still have one. They're the
Hmm.
last two. Um,
I have a daughter and her husband. I don't know if her kids still have them or not. I don't think
so
so.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and here's the thing: if we go back in time 2 or 3 years ago, before when I was thinking about whether or not I was going to move to the southeast or not, I was actually really excited that I was like, okay, cool. Because you can pay the transfer fee, and instead of Disneyland, you get Disney
Yep.
World, and
Yeah, you're hooked up to all those extra
yeah, you're
parks and
all the
stuff.
extra parks, $35. So I pay that, and here I am in South Carolina. I just drove to Orlando to the
Mhm.
airport to pick up my kid and take him to Kennedy Space Center. It's a 4-hour drive. I can get from where I'm at. I can get to Orlando in 4 to 4.5 hours flat, depending on whether I got a full tank of gas. It's not that far. I mean, that's not that far. I mean, when I was living in California, I was in traffic to and from the office an hour and a half each day. So, but you know what? Not only are they gone, I don't miss them.
Yeah, we first moved. This was the biggest thing, and we had them for just a little bit to see if we were going to start going again or not. And that's when some of the COVID stuff started. And then now there's no go. My wife, we actually are to the point now. I think you're going to agree with me too. And I'm wearing some of their merch, but this was all
Yep.
pre-purchased before all this, folks. I have tons of stuff. I'm actually looking at them, and I'm not only not. I don't. It's not only that I've lost my positive feelings. I'm starting to look at it all with disdain. Like, I want to get rid of it. Like, some of it's like, the hats that I have, some of the shirts that I have. Like, I have a Pizza Planet shirt that I used to love wearing. People always, a conversation started about a Pizza Planet shirt, and now I look at it like I don't even want to wear it. And that's
Yeah.
what's happened. And I'm hoping that this will stop. I think I have talked about that before. I have hope. I have the white pill. I want this to be turned around. I want this to change direction. So I haven't ditched everything to that extreme, but we definitely did the pass the money. The flow of cash has been cut off.
Well, so I'm being tested right now because I have 2 tickets to Star Wars Celebration that were rolled over from when the last one was
Ooh.
canceled.
Probably can't even get a refund on those, can you?
I don't know. I'd have to sell them on the open exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that works is they have that exchange that's connected to it, and
Right.
and I told my sister that I was going to take her and that we would go to Disney. She said she has 2 passes, right? So the deal was originally I would take it. She would be my little sister would be the one that would take the Star Wars Celebration, and then since she has 2 passes for her and her kid, then she and I would go and do Disneyland. I am super excited that I'm going to Nashville, and I'm going to be at the Nashville ICC convention
Right.
this weekend. I'm not at all excited about going, and I've got ticket. I got air tickets. I got the hotel. I mean, I did this a while back, and
Yeah.
I set all this in motion a while back. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to tell my little sister no, but I might tell her, hey, why don't you just go with someone else?
It's compromise. Yeah.
You
Folks,
know.
tell us in chat what you would do. That's a tough call. Let's see. Joker for 100% right. Purchase that really would break the financial bank. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, you think
Tough
of all the
decision.
money, Pops, that like just take you and me with
Yeah.
14 passes. How much did we spend on an average day?
Thousands of dollars. 'Cause you're
Right,
talking about hotel stays. I'm talking about being there with my wife for 2 to 4 days clips several times a year. We have a vacation, not a Disney vacation club. We have a vacation club area over there. So we were going all the time. I
right.
mean, I'm talking thousands and
So
thousands
that's
of
got to be at
merch
least 2 to 3 grand
per ticket.
minimum, and that's minimum.
It's
Got to
probably
be
way more than that when you factor in
all right.
food.
So let's say
Yeah.
3 to 5 grand each trip,
Mhm.
2 to 3 times a year, maybe 4.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I
I'm
I
not.
estimated about 10 grand or so, maybe around that
I
or
mean,
so when you
just the
factor
one.
in food and yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even stay the night because we live so close to Anaheim in Southern California.
Right,
At
right.
least my mom does. But just the one day we were there, and I lightning laned everything. We easily spent 2 grand just that day.
So you go a couple times a year. We easily probably represent like 20 grand of lost revenue per year. Easily, I think. maybe more.
And you know what? Right
Because
now, right.
because my kids were also getting older, so they're making more money themselves. So that would be more money, right? It's an exponential thing. Like you hook the families, you hook their kids keep coming, those kinds of things. So yeah. Jace Fox is here, who says, "You're still my teacher, Mexican Iron Man."
His
That's what
teacher.
dads do, man. Jace, get over it. That's what dads do. We learn from our sons. So he says F Gavin is branding because we were making Gavin Newsom jokes.
Oh,
That is all. Dean's here. Hey man, how you doing? And let's see, multiverse, Iron Cash, multiverse split happened somewhere between Harambe and the Hadron Collider getting turned on. That's funny. That's funny.
yeah. Well,
Iron
oh,
Cash
and
is
by the way,
right.
everybody in chat, my apologies that I'm not talking to you like I normally do in the chat stream, but I only have one monitor and I'm just staring at pops while we do this. Normally, I've got, I'm talking to the chat and saying hi.
He's
But
staring at me, folks.
yeah, I'm
Oh
staring at you.
yeah.
But, whoa, hello, whoa, whoa.
I cannot stress. Dean says I cannot stress how badly Disney has dropped the ball with these IPs they purchased. Yeah, brother, this is spiraling out of control.
You know who I think when I think of Bob? The perfect quote: 71.3 billion.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
What
I'll pull it back up. Yes, I went.
Not a people about expert, a symbol for Fantastic Four, but we get Ironheart, Miss Marvel, Lady Thor. Exactly.
Line skipping. Quote Eric July right
exactly.
there. Ignore decades and decades for the crap that they own. And this is the crap that they own, folks. They took control of this stuff, all these Marvel comic artists, and it was all SJW stuff, Sana Amanat, all this nonsense. And that's a different rabbit hole. We could do hours on all that. So, yeah. And I saw that too, Mikey, Mikey, I believe that on the Renegade, the Valiant Renegade video. Highly recommended video. I'm trying to remember to put a link in there for you guys if you're catching this after the fact. The only thing I can say in the defavor is, have you watched the crap on HBO Max 2 Worst Teen Titans?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Iron Lad.
Oh, I like that.
That's not bad. Yeah, Mexican Iron Lad. So my Disney stock just before the lockdowns began. I've been laughing ever since. Good for you, man, because
I did
it is down 37 to 8%. I didn't check today. It's down 37% the other day, year over year. And so you're stealing my teacher, Mexican Iron Man. Pops, it's not nice, man. It's going to help me now. Learn. So I'm going to check up with you later on, man. You get your Norwegian on. We're fine. As it stands, I pay for Disney stuff I buy used. Okay, yes, absolutely. That's the way. Nothing new. They're not worthy of my money. Absolutely. So there's flea markets. There's eBay. There's online stuff. So yeah, we're good. Joker's 4.5 hours is the same drive time for me to Disneyland. Yeah. Jason needs a fandom father to help him with his homework. I don't know about that. I think he just enjoys milking all of my memory banks of what I can try to remember, because it's weird living vicariously through some of these fandom milestones, and then meeting folks that are younger, like the people that were born and have memories of like the new Star Wars trilogy. Yet I'm in line, at 6 years old to see the original Star Wars. It's just it's just that kind of thing coming together for us. So.
Oh wow! So you're older than I am a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. I was 6. I turned 7 that summer, so I saw it 6. I saw the original film 6 times in the theater. It's always easy to remember.
Sometimes people ask me how old I am. I'm like, well, I know fire was already existing.
No, I'm older than that. It's the gray hair. I'm Gary's age. Gary and I are almost Gary of Nerdrotic and I are almost exact same age. We're like a few months apart.
I'm older than the internet and maybe older than Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. I'm not going on a Cinco de Mayo rant. I love it so bad. Jokers, I'm in Nova. Listen, bro, you are not alone with this Doctor Strange nonsense. I have so many mixed feelings.
I'm not going to go see it. I've already made a decision.
Well, I'm not paying, but I have to go so I can Schadenfreude on it. But I will not pay them. I'll see something else. See Northman. I need to go see that too.
Have you seen it yet?
No, it's just hard, man. I only have a couple of days in the city to work and do this, so it's like difficult.
Oh, that's right, because you're that's right. You have
I'm in the city where I work with healthcare, and then I have to go to the woods where I live now, and it's like, and she is not going to go see Northman. She's just not. So that's not going to happen. So, well, I'm going to get it worked out. I'll get it worked out. So, looking to sell more. Maybe we can just swap Ironcaster. I'll take some Star Wars comics. I really want to get more of the Dark Empires. I really like to make sure I have that original nice set on those. So, yeah, good moves. Lots of that kind of stuff. Let's see. And then there's a lot of back and forth they're talking about. And then cancel Disney Plus, $100 a year is no big deal. Me spending a premium price for movie tickets. Yeah, you'll spend $100 on tickets, no time. So I understand all that. Chris Berger's here. Amen. Anywhere he'd go to, if Brandon had to relocate, he's coming. East Texas or Florida. Listen, man, be careful with Florida. Cities are blue. Cities are blue. All of Florida is red except for these big cities. Look at if you want to move, look at voting maps of how the districts are, and you'll see the same pattern. Giant cities blue, and it's red everywhere else. And a lot of California is like that. So
Miami too.
Miami's very blue. It's shocking.
Really?
You would think that there'd be a better mix and blend down there, but it's not. It's
I
really
thought
not.
don't the Cubans still run things?
Yeah, but it's just a population density number. Like it's the Cubans spread out. Cubans are not dumb. They move. They get out of all that mess. So a lot of the Cubans are, on the outskirts of Tampa. They live in the suburbs and things like that, and they live along the I-4 corridor and stuff. And then if they're smart like me, you move even more to North Florida. You're like, you move, that's what's happening with Ocala. They've come that far north. We were in Bellevue, which is south of Ocala, and the amount of building that's there was just shocking. I'm like, wow. So let's go back to a couple more things that this would basically involve a massive shift, not for the taxpayers. It doesn't involve us much at all as far as paying more in taxes. What it will do is it'll generate, and it's not. I think that the problem is, Mike, is when we hear all this stuff about taxes, we always think it's like federal income taxes. We always think it's like the federal government taxes. State of Florida doesn't even have state income taxes, so a lot of this is just
right.
It's the fees, it's it's all of that money.
Well, it's all municipal driven from sales taxes on.
Yeah, right. So sales taxes, and you'll hear all this stuff. So if you see a story and you see, the fact check is because they use terms like Disney didn't pay this, or they paid $750 million in tax. Sure, yeah, the parks, they had to pay for all that. Sure, that's not what we're talking about. Two completely different pieces of the pie. All the revenue they make in the parks, they have to pay taxes on all that. Sure, that's not carved out. We're talking about the property, all those property taxes and appraisals and all that mess. It is millions of dollars. The other thing too is, but if this were to change and they were to change some of the way that numbers work, one of the counties that really need the money, this is what I think the Florida politicians need to focus on, is Osceola County is in dire need of some cash for infrastructure. And that's one of the areas that overlaps with this, Reedy district. So I don't understand all of the hotel fee parts and what they've not been paying. Do you understand any of that kind of stuff? Because that's a different area. I'm not real familiar with how that money moves around.
I am not an expert in that, so I don't know, and so I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I couldn't. I kind of understood it, but I couldn't decipher it enough. So, no, Mike isn't watching chat. It's just it's difficult. So challenged by Loki.
What is Rochambeau? What is that? I don't even know what that game is.
He's going to be challenged by Loki to. What is Rochambeau? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know.
All right.
It's the Valhalla trolls.
Hey, listen, they're my people too. Hopefully I get adopted in at some point because I feel like I've met my people. You need to check out some. Yes, brother. I'm enjoying Ultraman. You got to love Ultraman on Netflix. He's turned me on to that cartoon. Anime, I don't know what to call things. I'm sorry.
It's on the list. I just finished.
It's nice because they're only take 20, 25 minutes. They're short, so it's nice little fillers.
I just finished Pacific Rim, The Black.
Okay, yeah.
Freaking loved it. Just finished it. 20,
okay.
14, whatever it was, episodes.
I'm just enjoying the fact that it's shorter, so it's not like it's as overwhelming or consuming as some of the others. Man, I can't get off this chat, man. I'll have to continue after Mike leaves because he can't stay that long, and I'll have to at least get you caught up on things that we have talked about. What else? So, if you have to make a prediction, where do you think some of the next steps are? What do you think really kind of what happens next?
Well,
I think they start cutting deals, right? Start seeing deals.
Well, the first thing that they should have done is the first thing that I think they have done, which is that they needed to shut up, Disney folks.
Yes.
They needed to just stop talking.
Yep, gag order.
Stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Stop placating to these nut jobs. And that's really the first thing is you've got to control your message.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a fight, you got to control the message. And so the first thing that they need to do is be quiet. The second thing they need to do is they need to understand that their unabashed ego as a corporation has limits, and limits can be imposed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say that's like a moment of self-reflection, which hopefully they're doing. The third thing they need to do is get a lay of the land and start executing with deliberate plans and get on the same page with what's going to happen. This all could get fixed, but it's not. They're gonna assurances will need to be made.
Well, they're
Like
going to
for
have to make some sacrifices. They're going to have to give because
absolutely.
all the leverage is on the other
If
side.
I were to
Disney
s-
is totally trapped in this situation.
if I were
They
to, and the other thing too is that there's no DeSantis doesn't have to walk this thing back if they
no.
want the special district again, which is
Mm-mm.
easy to. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
that it's not impossible, but
Mhm.
they absolutely could get a special district again. Maybe not with so many um
I
sac.
think that's exactly what I expect to happen. They're going to be negotiating for a new special district. It's just new terms for the same Reedy district. The Reedy district will come back. It'll just be different terms because the terms that they have now are basically illegal. Like you can't even get most of these terms. So they're going to be brought up to the standard, and maybe there'll be a few fringe benefits beyond that. But I don't expect it to be as sweet of a deal as what they've got. That's coming to an end for sure.
If Disney was smart, they would announce that they're not getting involved in politics and they're going to go back to focusing on their business because that's the message that shareholders need to hear. That's
Yes.
the message that customers need to hear. And
Yes.
goodness gracious, that's the message that the employees need to hear. And they need to stop worrying about, there's two types of people. There's these wackos that have these weird ideas that they want to get out there. And then there's all of the beta men and women that just want to simp and I don't understand where this comes from. This whole, let's just agree with these wackos because we want to agree and think that somehow makes us better. But they've got to lay down the law inside within the employees. They've got to communicate that to investors. They got to communicate that to the customers. They've got to make me, the father of a 9-year-old, comfortable that I want to let my kid watch Disney Plus because I don't trust them. When I've seen a
Mhm.
video that's telling me that certain content is being blatantly put in there and no one within the entire company is mitigating that content. My kid's 9. The deepest convo that he wants to have about himself is which Lego kid are we getting? The 1,000 pieces that builds the rocket or the
Yeah.
800 pieces that builds something else?
Yeah. It's. Do you feel like
And
this is a
he's
little?
9.
Do you feel like it's a little cyclic with their brand damage, like Eisner? Because remember how there was like a cycle with this, like Disney got so low and so bad, and then it's like this bounce, and that's kind of what we'll see. And this may take a couple years to recoup from, or do you think they can turn something
I
faster?
don't know. I think the real problem that we have is that no one who actually cares about Disney as a brand is anywhere in the governance structure.
That's true.
Everybody that's there are a bunch of wolves that are just eating off the hens and the eggs that they lay. They're the a board of directors are supposed to be stewards of the company. Not everybody here is looking for a free ride. Everybody. They're
Yeah.
looking for their ego, for their career, or for their pocketbook. Everybody here is here to poach us. No one. I've not seen any board member. I've not seen any management person, any executive. I have not seen anyone tied to this company at any reasonable level of governance or management that has once said, "Here's what our company needs to do, and here's why we need to do it for the families that." Because if families like yours, families like mine, so many families like ours are the ones that built the value in this company that now these losers want to come and poach off of.
Yeah, they feel like they've gotten away with it for 50 something years, and now they just want to cast this aside, and they don't think that we're going to be ticked off about it. You think that I'm going to encourage my grandkids to go to Disney, or my wife and I are going to, spend all this money on hotels or passes or whatever if they want to go? This is crazy. I can't believe that you. And reality is, you just feel like every piece of their brand is broken. You guys, Joker brought up the $71 billion on the Fox deal. You've got the Marvel Studios thing. Phase 4 is completely falling apart to the point now it's being nicknamed the MCU, which is the MCU. It's like, okay. And then you've got, Star Wars with, you know, Ray. I hate even saying it out loud. It's just every piece of it. It's like, what do they have left that we're going to stand on? You're talking about you got people that have been outed of what they're saying that they're trying to accomplish, and it's crazy. Like you said, we're a different multiverse. It's completely insane. Yeah. So, fact checking, understanding a few things, folks. Hopefully, something has helped you. I know I wanted to get. I know Mike's talked about this several times. You may catch him on some of the Midnight Ed stream talking about it. I'll try to remember to put that Valiant Renegade link in there in the description. Brother, what you got going on, man? Let's give you some plug-in time before you head on out the door with me. And what are you gonna do? I know you're going. You headed to the convention in Nashville, having fun. Did
Yeah,
you get?
that's the
It's gonna
next
be a
thing.
blast.
I'm sorry.
It's gonna be a blast, man. I wish I could do something like that. But Loki and his Lark. Did you get him in a Lark? Rest that leg.
Oh, I don't know how his leg's doing. Frankly, I really have no idea how his leg's doing. But I'll know tomorrow. So I don't know. I mean, I pretty much I got so much work to do. Like I was supposed to leave today, but that didn't happen. I got stuck with work. In fact, I'm gonna be working probably till 2 or 3 in the morning tonight. So I don't know, but I am gonna try a live stream from the floor. There's a lightsaber battle. I was challenged to a lightsaber battle, Pops, by this kid who goes by that Star Wars guy, Master Paul. He calls himself. I call him Padawan Paul. And so between midnight and 1 a.m. Saturday night, we're gonna live stream, and I have been challenged to a lightsaber duel.
Huh. All right. Well, my money's going to be on you, man. We're OGs. We've been doing this stuff with sticks and pens before you could buy lightsabers at a Walmart.
Exactly.
We have a lot of years of experience, but you'll be playing games like that with us.
Exactly, Pops. He's like, I know he's thinking that, Mexican Mike's going to have to get himself a double dose of Geritol and all that. And maybe I will.
But we'll do what it has to take to win a lightsaber battle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Pops.
Whatever it takes. Is there a steroid juice coming? Maybe.
By any Mexican necessary.
That's right. Is there a lot of Advil possibly in the formula? Maybe.
Yeah.
A last minute tequila shot for you?
Yeah. No.
Possibly.
Last minute tequila bottle.
And my lightsaber in my bottle.
Literally, as I speak to you,
Star Wars guy.
And I'm taking all of I'm not taking all of them, but I'm taking probably half to 2/3 of my collection, just because I'm not sure what mood I'm going to be. I own probably 20. How many of these? 25, I think. So I'm going to take probably, I don't know, a dozen to 15 of them at least.
Isn't it a glorious world where we can buy lightsabers for like $6? Like, it's such a glorious world. Like, we grew up in a place, I don't know about you, I'm a little older than you, but it's like our idea of lightsaber sales when I was a kid was basically a flashlight, and it had a little plastic cellophane, and that was it. That's all we got for years.
And then technology improved when we had the ones that pulled out. They would click, 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 click.
Yep.
They pulled out.
So my boys started out on.
Yeah.
Yep. And
only recently have they gone fancy pants.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So, all right, we'll look forward to live stream lightsaber duels and Nashville updates, and I'm sure you'll be back on Midnight Edge and all the other stuff next week. And you and I are going to do more of this again. We got to get together and do some more fun stuff. Maybe we can do more fun stuff, and not have to be so heavy.
Hey, whether it's analytical,
I'm more than happy. It down, man.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to deep dive on the analytical, technical stuff anytime you want to.
Listen, brother, you take care. I'm gonna go through this chat stuff. I know you got to run. I keep you. So,
all right, thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Okay.
Folks, we run through some of this stuff here. I try to always do that. I know that things get crazy, and I only had him for a limited amount of time. I know Agent Atwood had to step out. And Joker says, we're about the same age. That's good to know, brother. Dean says, Marvel lost me as a viewer. WandaVision. I cannot waste my time on their vandalism any longer. Brother, I understand. I could not believe how bad that show ended. And people to this day, Twitter, it drives me so crazy to not stir up trouble, to not basically grab a stick and shake it in the hornet's nest and go, how can you be cheering for this character? She is the villain. And then you just let her leave without any consequences. Oh, gosh. And Dean says he's just a tick older than me, about 55. You are just a tick older than me. Couple ticks, actually. So my wife wouldn't go with me, so I went anyway. Worth it. So I assume, Brandon, you're talking about Northman. So it's good to hear. I hear good things. And Gray's in the house. No release on Northman in Japan. Oh, brother, hang in there. Reach out to some of these folks, man. They can hook you up with the link. I don't know. Epic collection of Star Wars still. Ooh, yeah. All right. Jason's telling me to keep it up. It's good to see us, and did not like the Northman. Yeah, he's the hater. Brandon's talking about Florida voting habits are changing from what I see from the outside. Well, I can tell you this, Brandon. We had the hanging Chad nightmare of 2000, and our voting stuff is pretty well on lockdown. So you would hear stories from different elections, and we're like, when you put your stuff in, there you go. There was none of this stuff. Like, it all went away after that. And now it's a very systematic process. I'm not saying that there's not weird things that happen, because of course they are. But I think that everybody looks into them pretty well in Florida. They don't do some of that anymore. Rock, paper, scissors. Lizard Spock. Complete the sentence. It's possibly one of like the only like 3 things that are so super great about that show, by the way. And Rochambeau. Going through Berserk this weekend. Ooh, okay. All right. Is there a good anime adaptation of Berserk? You guys talk amongst yourselves. Let me know. I know they're talking about listen, a live action Ultraman, Kamen Rider. It's great stuff. It is great stuff. I'm enjoying some of that stuff. There's a 1997 Berserk. Let's see. Let's keep going. Rochambeau is also called Rock, Paper, Scissors. Oh, thank you, Chris. I feel so stupid now. Rochambeau is Rock, Paper, Scissors. Poor Mike didn't know. Okay. A lot of friends in my field bartending here in Vegas that are single parents, and they have canceled vacations, Disney Plus subscriptions, etc. Yeah, because you feel betrayed by the brand. Like, you have people telling you, listen, my eyes started opening when I was doing like news reports of different shows, and they're on ABC, which Disney owns. And there was like crazy political messaging. Like, it was very clear what their leanings were. And then once you got to the 2016 thing, I'm like, left the station, man. Totally unhinged, free for all. So yeah, I'm with you. Glad to see some people still remember it. Yeah, it's good. Let's see here. Let's see. Canceled. Yeah, Grace is canceled because they sucked so many way. Also, Moon Knight was so bad. Bro, should I go on a Moon Knight rant? Because I'm not going to have time to do another video because I actually am kind of like supposed to go on some other folks' streams tonight. Listen, I want some freaking Moon Knight in my Moon Knight show. Is that too much to ask? I mean, I know I didn't get Boba Fett in my Boba Fett show. So I'm sorry that I'm asking for Moon Knight in my Moon Knight show. So it is literally like what? Seconds in this episode of a flashback of him transforming. That is the only Moon Knight. There's no Mr. Knight, Moon Knight, nothing. So we have the only Moon Knight we really get is the little clip at the end of episode 1 and a couple fight scenes that contradict the other fight scenes. So at some point, we might actually have to understand what the freaking rules are in your show. Like, what are the powers? Because at some points he can deflect bullets, but at other points we have spears that are hitting him. Sometimes he can transform, sometimes he can't. In the last episode, the battle over who has control, which personalities he control, but he can suddenly punch himself in the face. They have no idea what they're flipping doing. They wrote a Twilight Zone episode, billed as Moon Knight, trying to make it his origin story. And it was so clear to see where they were going. The moment they showed the child on screen, you had to know how cliche all this was going to be. So why on earth is it 5 episodes? We could take these scripts and they could be 3. And then we could actually have some action and some fighting and some actual Moon Knight stuff that we all want to see. Instead, we're seeing a whole lot of crap. Oh, I couldn't believe how bad this episode was. Like, this is their chance to do stuff. And it's like it just kept going on and on and on. Oh, and the hippo voice thing. Oh, is there a more grating sound that could have come out of this character? Oh, geez, Louise. Okay. I agree, Mike. These psychos at Disney are actually trying to hurt kids. Yeah. They basically admitted on a video. There's not even like conspiracy theory, whatever. Marvel's Mishu, Phase Bore. Okay. Yep. I will say this, at least Moon Knight episode 5 doesn't have Layla. And you know what I saw on Twitter? The read about where's Layla? Layla Love. It's like, what the heck is wrong with you people? Oh my gosh. It's so nuts. How to Kill a Franchise in 4 years. 4 years. It's probably been like a decade of this nonsense. It just keeps the problem is the snowball down the avalanche just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, affecting more and more people. So Ironcaster says thanks to Mike for all the knowledge over the past few years of how the business side of things work, helping me understand better. I mean, that was really the point tonight, was to try to cut through this phony headlines, gaslighting, bogus crap that I'm reading. I just couldn't believe it. I literally am reading headlines. There are headlines telling taxpayers how they're going to pay more money. And you're like, you don't understand. Like, no one reads any of it. No one does any work. And the journalists don't care anymore. They don't care. It did take a little bit of work. I did have to Google a couple of times. You understand what I'm trying to say. You Google the first time, you're off a little bit. refine your search. But it's not that hard to verify some of the stuff. And then with this a couple of these videos that are out there doing such a great job. So, ooh, my blood pressure is going up. I'm going to bring some of y'all up in here to help calm me down, I guess. Mexican Iron Man in a duel. I can't wait. I'm going to say it, man. White Mexican Iron Man adjacent to Mexican Iron Man. Listen, if I'm going to have a nickname, Austin one, it's going to be White Salsa. White Salsa. That's it. That's my Spanish name. Mexican. I'm Mexican. White Salsa. Christian Faith Geeks here saying hail. Inside joke. Not for you. All right. Yeah. So let's see. Let's keep going. Jace, not paying for Doctor Strange. Got it for free. Well, if you already have it, hook a brother up. Hook a brother up. Let's see. Mexican Iron Man was saying thank you to everyone. Listen, so gracious with this time. Fit me in. Called me personally about it so we could chat it up because it is complicated and stuff. Make sure we're kind of like, let's put some bumpers up because obviously we could take any of these pieces and go down a rabbit's hole. And I hope that you got enough to get started with where you're at. And most importantly, I want you to be able to feel more comfortable fact checking some of this stuff for yourself. Because that doesn't feel right. That doesn't sound right. Because right now, Disney doesn't have any leverage in this situation. Everything that they're going to have to give stuff up because basically what's happened is they have taken all of Florida for granted. They've taken all of their fans for granted. They've taken all of their pass holders and park attendees for granted. They're taking their employees for granted. Like everything is spiraled out of control for them. And it is coming to a head very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. All right. Let's see. Moob Night. That is great. That is great. That is great. Listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me throw this in. See if it'll let me. Here's the StreamYard link. If y'all want to come up in here, open door. Anybody's welcome. We can talk about anything we've talked about. You can bring a new topic up. You let me know. You can come on up in here and hang with me for a few minutes. I will have to take a break in a few so that I can get a snack and hydrate. Call the first lady before I try to bounce on some streams later tonight. But if you want to come up in here, doors open. You can come. Anyone, and all things are welcome. So yeah, I don't have time to rail about Moon Knight on my channel, and there's only one more episode left, folks. Only one episode left. We have this schizophrenic Twilight Zone origin story that's supposed to placate our desires to close this out, and it's just a joke. I'm just so disappointed. I can't believe how bad. And the irony is, it's still not as bad as some of the others. You guys brought up WandaVision. WandaVision ended WandaVision was terrible. Once you got to it's all Agatha's fault, right? It was just dumb. And the fact that they admitted they didn't even know who Mephisto was, it's just like, oh, geez, these are like JV, right? We got the JV freaking team writing Disney Plus shows. And then once you got to the end and Doctor Strange doesn't show up because they later admitted that was the plan, and they changed it because they didn't want to have white man coming in and lecturing her. They confessed to all that. And that would have made some sense. We could have had some sense made of this show, and she wouldn't have been the villain, or at least could have had some redemption. Nope. Vision just flies away after being neutered and turned into White Vision. And she's a monster who's allowed to leave. And everyone's told, oh, we should all feel bad for you. And then Loki, the absolute worst of them all, in my opinion, because it breaks the entire MCU. It basically nullifies the 20-something films because Infinity Stones are paperweights. The guy that's plucking an eye out of someone 5 minutes ago is now crying like a little girl and getting kicked in the groin. No respect. You don't care about the things that we like. The show, and then to follow around freaking Lady Loki, who's, oh my gosh, talk about a woke nightmare. This was my lady. The Purple Planet episode, by the way, if you didn't know, is written by Basha K. Ali, the person that's behind the garbage that you're going to get next, Miss Marvel. So the purple episode where nothing happens because of the beginning of the episode where they're trapped on the planet and the train ride and all that nonsense, the trailer park humiliation, and then at the end where they don't make it on the shuttle, they're still trapped on the freaking purple planet. So we had a wasted episode just because they wanted to try to drop gender fluid in it because of the agenda, or as Critical Drinker says, the message. Because it's all spot on. Now, I will admit, I didn't hate Falcon and Winter Soldier as much at first, but it kept going. They just kept going. They had to cuck Bucky. They had to bring the racist nonsense in it. They had to have, the little girl terrorists. Then you had to have Winter Soldier. Basically, that's who he freaking is. He's been deprogrammed, but doesn't mean he can't fight. But he's having problems with little teenagers who've been shot up on their drug. Oh, wonder if much of these horrible female leads are bios of female. Okay, so translation of what you're saying there, awesome one. Self inserts. Miss Marvel is a self insert by San Amanat. That's not even a conspiracy theory. Like, this is so common now with stuff. I haven't looked into some of the other stuff as much, but a little bit. So, Joker voice.
Hello, Pops.
Hey, man, come up in here. Let's just talk about some of this nonsense. What do you want to chat about, man? This has been
Oh.
crazy stuff today.
Disney Plus shows. My gosh. So,
yeah, I'm just kind of going through the rant and rave, and I don't have time to do a whole lot more. We could definitely rant and rave about them a little bit.
Yeah, I was just doing some numbers because I've got a lot of people who watch my stuff who kind of don't like the fact that I say MCU. They don't like the fact that I say Marvel hates you and that Marvel's tanking right now. So,
oh yeah, I didn't get the so I stopped reading modern comic. I got out of comic books a while ago, and then I kind of was catching a few of these guys' videos. Your boy Zach and others who were reviewing these comic books, and I was like, they can't be that bad. And he was showing screenshots. I'm like, I guess they are that bad.
Oh yeah.
So my kids, I said, listen, I would read them and I would do reviews. I'm trying to do the YouTube thing. I had taken a hiatus in December, so they got me the app. I'm telling you, man, I would read and I would have to stop reading. They were so bad. Like, I would literally be like, this is not a frame of my comic book. So I'd catch myself rereading like 1990s comics and older because there's at least something happening. They talk about food and they walk around in like pages. Folks, I wish I could exaggerate. I don't even have to exaggerate. They literally will have 3 pages of nothing happening of them walking around or sitting in a restaurant. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
So, because I was just doing my own little numbers, and all the Disney Plus shows, they have a trend. Their final episode is less viewership than their premiere episode. All of them across the board. And the biggest drop was actually one that although the fangirls love is Loki.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Loki had the highest, had the biggest premiere according to Samba numbers. It was like 2.5 million. And then by the finale, it was down to 1.9. That's 600,000 people checked out.
Yeah. I told my wife that she couldn't watch it because they emasculated him the first episode. So please don't watch it because he was one of like 3 or 4 of her favorite characters. I'm like, please don't watch it. You won't make it out of the first 10 minutes. Your mouth will be hanging open. You'll be like, what are they doing to Tom Hiddleston? Because he's not just Loki. He's Loki / Tom Hiddleston.
Right.
And it only got worse because if she had seen the kicking in the groin scene, I don't even know. My wife may never watch another Marvel product anyway. Now the Disney stuff's gotten so bad, she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I make this argument all the time when they talk about, Sylvie, I love her, and I'm like, that's the Enchantress from the Thor comics.
Yeah, I don't understand why they had to make a change. They could have just left her as the Enchantress. It could have, but again, they've hired JV writers, and I actually did a pretty thorough Loki video where I went through all their credentials, and most of them are Rick and Morty writers. Now, I'm not bashing on Rick and Morty.
No.
I am saying, does that make you qualified to write Loki? Because I think not.
Probably not.
And if they don't, if the creator behind WandaVision admitted that they didn't know who Mephisto is, and that's the story they borrowed from, and then meanwhile in the company you have the Star Wars people getting hired, and she admits that her writer didn't even watch the OG trilogy.
Nope.
You're like, what the heck? There's no credentials. And Basha K.I. Lee has written nothing. She's a podcaster, and she's basically she's she's perpetuating the self-insert for Miss Marvel.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And by no surprise, she has now that this show is going to be put on Disney Plus, she's jumped ship and she's gone to Netflix because now she has that Disney cred.
Yeah, it's on her resume. So she got the
Yep.
job offer and she took it. I got to be honest. Good for her. You play
Right.
the system. That's what they're all doing and what they're all trying to do.
Yep.
So yeah, the shows. I couldn't believe how despicably political they made the final episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like,
oh, it was.
I couldn't believe it. It was so weird. And then, so let me ask you this, because this is
okay.
I like the fan fiction.
Okay.
If I rewrite the episode, and one of the first changes you make, and it seems so obvious to me whenever it happened, is they were going to open the suitcase. Now you know he's going to become Black Cap if you read the comic books,
right?
But if I fan fiction it, and he opens his suit. And it's actually like this kick butt Wakanda technology. There's no evidence of Wakanda technology on the Wakanda suit, by the way. But I would actually make a Wakanda suit that would actually like repel bullets and stuff. And he comes out and then when you see the action sequence with the helicopter, you see him flying. And then he communicates, and then Bucky is in a kick butt Wakanda version of like an armor as the fill-in Cap.
Right.
So at the end, even if we let the females kill the females, even if we're going to do all that, fine. You have a redemption arc for John. Right. You have a redemption arc for the two of them. Everyone can join hands, sing Kumbaya. We come together with a patriotic message for a Captain America spinoff. Oh, it's such a missed opportunity. I just can't believe these shows are like that. Oop, I froze. You may have froze up on me a little bit. Okay.
Son, you're under my end.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're back.
There we go. Okay.
Yep.
That was
weird. When Did you bail out before you got to the end? I mean, I can't say I didn't have my list of criticisms because I did. But
I am one that once I start something, even if it's a hate watch, that I'll watch it through to the end. So because I want to be fair about it, and I would have honestly, yes, we knew it was going to be Sam Cap, and okay, but did you have to do it? Or how about just give Falcon an upgraded Falcon suit and make it the Wakanda tech, but red and white, like the classic comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many upgrades that could have been there that would have made him so kick butt. You're selling more action figures then. You're doing whatever. Instead, you went for the cheesy. And then the fact that you hire Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh,
do another movie.
Don't even get me started.
Oh my god,
on that asshole.
So
sorry.
So I'm supposed to try to keep politics out of my pop culture, but that's what they do. They basically hire an advocate.
Right.
What am I supposed to do with that? I'm supposed to keep keep it all separate. Like I'm the one that's supposed to be responsible for doing that, but they hire that. That's what they do.
Right.
Literally,
exactly.
He has no credentials other than activism.
No.
Oh
no, geez. Not at all. And then as far as the films went, this was even more fun because people was like, "Oh, the movies did great. They did great." No, they didn't. Let's see, Black Widow lost $220 million.
Yeah, this was such I'm sure I'm still to this day shocked that there weren't people that were fired. Because it wasn't until Scarlett Johansson's lawsuits that everybody just was forced to at least pay attention and acknowledge that there was financial concerns with that movie. Because up until that point, the mainstream press pretty much ignored the negative financial impact of them going to Disney Plus the way they did. Like it just, it was really strange how they handled it and got away with it.
And that number there is just the box office. The Disney Plus numbers are not included in that. So Disney Plus made it less of a bomb than it was.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I found the ending, you have the two main factors of the ending for me, obviously the Taskmaster reveal, which is just like a laugh out loud moment. And then you have the defying gravity ship that's falling in slow motion with humans that are not enhanced in any way, jumping off pieces of metal and then catching each other in the sky. One of the most asinine scenes I've ever seen in my life is, oh, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Oh,
What
yeah.
the heck are you talking about? And then, oh, by the way, everyone just goes their own way at the end of the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
What on earth?
I'm sorry. The Rachel Weisz, you belong in jail. War crimes. War crimes.
We've derailed so far, and I think you were the one that mentioned, the Doctor Strange part, and now we have, Lady Thor.
Well, I mean,
I'm actually hopeful. I actually want. I know the normies. The normies will come out for Doctor Strange because it's Doctor Strange. It also is like, it's like next week.
I am
time of the year.
I am still concerned. With news I just heard that Egypt, China, Saudi Arabia, and other Arab nations have banned this film already.
They refuse to make any compromises.
Yeah, and it's because of America Chavez. She is in so much of this film, they can't edit her out. And
you know what? I will say this to Disney's defense, because they did do the edits on Shang-Chi and Eternals, and it didn't make any difference. They were both banned anyway.
Right.
Well, I have to be honest. At that point, I will side with Disney. And I've said this all along. Listen, if that's your art,
then screw it. Yeah, go for it.
You may not be as old as I am, but I'm like, listen, if you were to F with anyone's art, people would freak out on you.
Yes.
This was a huge deal. There were fights growing up on what the edited for TV version of a movie would be.
Yes.
And now to think that for a major box office release, they'll edit scenes out of a film is just it's unbelievable. We're in the alternate movie multiverse. I'd love to get Mike's take on that. So we probably can come up with some examples of things we remember as kids of like the TV version was modified or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I'm going to give Disney, if that's the closest thing they can get to cred right now, is stand your ground. You made this crap, stand with it. If these countries don't want it, your people will just black market it. They're all going to bootleg it. You're not going to stop the Chinese, for love of Pete, of getting bootleg copies of anything.
No.
They're probably over there printing DVDs right now on some sort of black market. So
yeah, and again with what's been going on with Disney and with all this, again, with the 6 weeks, 6 days a week of reshoots, that's probably adds another 100 mil to what it costs to make the film. So we're looking at like somewhere between $300 to $400 million budget in 45 days. That's all it has, and it's got to make about somewhere close to $1 billion to break even.
I have no idea why they're doing the 45-day rule. I think that's way too close to the box office release, because people will wait 45 days. I have coworkers that are they did the Batman thing. They just said, well, I'll just wait 45 days. 45 days is not that long.
No,
it's not long enough for a major film like that. You've got to make them thirst for it. You've really got to make them thirst for it. So,
which is why Spider-Man No Way Home did $1.8 billion.
Correct. Right.
Because Sony does not have a streaming service to feed.
I'm gonna bootleg pops and call it props. Hey, listen, man, I'll take the cred. Just give me a footnote. I don't care what you do. Whenever memes are made about you, you might have made it. Because the first time I got parodied on a website, like someone stole our stuff and did a parody thing of it. Basically, I was like, wow,
all right,
that's pretty cool.
I like it.
They thought they were going to insult me or whatever. I'm like, no, that's pretty cool. I've told people, I said, yeah, it was 2003 to 5 or so when I was called the brainwashed spewer of bile and filth. And I said, once you wear that around as a badge, you're like, yeah, it's all downhill from there.
You make a shirt of that.
Well, you know what? That's a brilliant idea. I should It's not a pops thing though. It's kind of weird because it's like me personally. But hey, I'll take it. I got to run here because we're close to the top of the hour. Is there anything else that's going on with you, man? When do you stream? Do you stream like daily, or you pre-record? How do you do your thing?
I just kind of I do my Moon Knight reviews on the Wednesday, and then I do something on Saturday, and then if something pops into my head, I just drop it randomly. So I just dropped one this morning with James Gunn standing up for
for Chris Pratt.
Mr. Pratt. Yeah. So I'm not a big James Gunn fan, but good on you, James.
I agree with that. Awesome one. Thanks, bro, for hanging with us for so long. Yeah, it's good. I'm trying to do the streams and then pull clips. I'm a big fan of the clips, if you haven't noticed, because I think there's something to be said for the normies, right? Make little
Right.
5, 10, 7 minutes. I'm not sure how those will ever get monetized. I don't even know how the monetization rules work. Deal with that when I get there.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm also trying to, so I try not to put them all in like one day. I try to spread it out too, so I could try to play that game too. So I got to be honest, man, the algorithm changes faster than we can probably keep up. So just do what you do, stay the course, have fun,
and
support other people.
Yes. And I'm at right now about 155 subs, looking to get to 200 before Kenobi drops. So anyone in the chat, please find me. I dropped the link in the private chat. So
yeah, it's up there, man. I put it in the regular chat. I will put that out there. I will tweet it all out there and let people listen. We got to get you. 45 is nothing. That's a piece of cake. That's just us noticing and things like that. And said, listen, not everything is for everyone, but you know what? You can't sub and just ignore it.
True story.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of just helping the waters rise. There was a hashtag that went around for a while called Rise Together, and it just kind of fizzled out. And I'm like, listen, that's pretty good. I like that. We need to understand that's what you're up against. You're up against the mainstream press and the social media algorithms. You're not really up against one another. There's so much content. There's no way you're going to take it all in. If you're going to have your feelings hurt because people are watching this or watching that, I'm going to let you down because I watch so much stuff after the fact. I will pop in a chat. I will. Here's one thing that I also recommend. Pop in a chat. Even if you can't stay, you say hey, you hit your like button. Maybe you share it, maybe you don't. But you have an interaction. And the algorithm knows there's interactions. Yep. I actually found my graph. I hadn't paid attention to this, but I looked at a graph and it talked about, the amount of content, amount of comments you had, amount of watch time. It's like this is all in there. So if you don't think this stuff matters, it definitely matters. So
it does.
Well, yes. Look at what is this? What is that symbol? Is that a
stand together?
Stand together. Okay. That's great.
Cool.
Awesome one. I'm with you, bro. That's what we got to do. Joker, man, thanks for, I'm sorry I had to be on this terms and we got a chance to, I'm having this weird, I never treated Twitter like a networking tool. So now that I have, I feel like I've poured gas around my little Pops channel, and now it's like I have more stuff to do than I have my 3 nights to fill. So I have I have like these little blocks where I try to fill things in. Last night I went long, and my wife was like, "Why are you so late? Who are you talking to?" Blah blah blah. Fries together. Those are French fries, bro. I am terrible with emojis. I am so boomer on that kind of stuff. I do not use emoji. I can use the thumbs up on my phone, but on a computer even, I'm like, no. All right, fries or fries. Yeah, fries.
And I do not tweet because that place is a cesspool. But for you, Pops, I did drop my email in the private chat, so we'll talk and we'll engage soon. So, all right, folks, you have a great time. Always have fun. # keep talking and always keep a smile on your face.
Oh, hang on, Joker. Wait, since I got you, hang on one second then. Give me a little Joker voice Batman thing, because that's the good stuff.
Oh, dear boy. By what could you possibly mean? I mean, who doesn't love your favorite clown prince of crime?
It's the best. I love this stuff. It's so good. Thank you, my friend, my brother.
All right, guys.
See you.
All right,
folks. Thanks for hanging so long. I appreciate that. And listen, you know what? It is Rise Together. Support one another. Be blessed. Be safe. Encourage positive things and encourage one another. Like, share, subscribe to other people's stuff, that kind of thing. And just, you know what? If you're looking for your own voice, just throw yourself out there, man. Just talk about one or two things. Who cares? Take videos of your cat. Who cares? If that brings you some happiness, it brings someone else some happiness, that kind of thing. So if you don't really want to do that, then just support someone else who is doing it. So listen, folks, thanks for hanging and chatting with us. I appreciate all that. Appreciate all the support I've gotten. It's just amazing that you guys are even remotely giving me your time. So thanks for everything. Be blessed. I'm Pops. Talk to you soon.